In this video we're going to look at creating a worthwhile contextual inquiry. The contextual inquiry will come after you've already decided on the direction of your project and after you've written your design brief. In terms of understanding how this fits into the mark scheme, which you should be referring back to and making sure you understand to help you get as many marks as possible, the main area it covers is this investigation of existing products and design practices. So we're really looking for a comprehensive and relevant information, keyword there being relevant. But depending on what you do, it may also help with the third box down, which is the investigation of your stakeholders' needs and wants. So it can cover across these two areas. The definition of context is the circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement or idea, and in terms of which it could be fully understood. So it's important when we're looking at your contextual challenge, it is relevant to your context. You'll see there are 4 areas of recommended places in which you could base your contextual challenge, but you may have other ideas which are more relevant, and of course this is not restrictive. The 4 areas are: you could look into testing, you could look at site surveys, we could look in terms of product analysis, and I'll go into a bit more detail because you may have done some of that through your research, and we could also look at observations of activities or tasks. So in terms of testing, you may want to buy a product, or you may have a product, you may borrow a product, and then you can actually test that product out. You can then write up your results and record your results of that testing, and hopefully out of that you will find some key information, good or bad, and that will help you then move forward in terms of trying to define the area or the direction you want to go in terms of your designing. Site surveys might be a little bit more difficult during this time, but if it's safe to do so, you can go and visit places, especially if they're outdoors, or you may be basing them within your home or a home that you're allowed to visit, in which case you can go and look at how this site is run, or you can talk to people about that. You can try and look at the key aspects within a site, so it might be in terms of that environment, what's in that environment, how much space is in that environment, what restrictions that environment might give in terms of light or in terms of attachment, or however that fits within your context. You could observe activities or tasks, so you could get somebody who's relevant to your context to perform a task. You could then observe them, you could film them and then play that film back and try and draw out key things which you might notice. When you watch somebody perform a task, so obviously I've got the example here of a couple going cycling, you can quite easily see sometimes how people can compensate for problems that they might be having. Or you might see design solutions that are working really well that can be manipulated potentially for your particular chosen direction. I've put a little note here in terms of product analysis because this is sometimes a place that people trip up, and it's also quite often sort of an easy go-to, but it's really important that these products are relevant products which fit in with your chosen context and the direction of your product, and you must highlight key thoughts and learning from completing these. Now, how this may differ from your actual product analysis, where you may have gone on the internet and made searches and pulled in pictures of different products and things like that, is you might physically do a disassembly of a product, and you might look at the components in details alongside maybe the materials and the manufacturing techniques that have been used to build that product, and then from that you can draw out conclusions, good or bad, to help you, and that would be looking at the product in context. So that's how it's a little bit different to the testing element and perhaps the product analysis that you may have done online. So just some reminders. You want to document your key findings and how they might help you moving forward. That is key throughout all of your tasks, that you really demonstrate your learning. It's not important how the task went, or not as important. So saying something like, oh, this task was really useful and I found it really rewarding, doesn't help you move your project forward and define direction. You want to be honest with what you found out. So don't make up information. If it wasn't that useful, if it proved that things aren't as good as you initially thought, then document these thoughts. Remember, you're telling a story. You want to ensure it's relevant to your chosen context and direction. So it's not just come out the left field and somebody wouldn't be able to look back at your previous slides and think, oh yes, that follows on from the direction that they'd discussed. And my advice is always to read the mark scheme. This is published. It's in black and white how you are going to be marked and how you can achieve high markings. In which case, if you have a good understanding of that, you'll then be able to make sure your project is focused and precise. It's not about creating as much content as you possibly can. It's about the quality and the relevance of that content.